Well, Schindler's List took me over a decade to do simply because I recognize its importance. I recognize also the extreme damage that could do if it was not made right. If it didn't acquit the experiences of the Holocaust survivors with honor and remembrance, then it would do more harm than good. And so the responsibility for me was daunting. So daunting it put me off the project for almost 10 years until I was, I guess, emotionally ready. I've often said I had to grow up, I had to have a kid, which I had 3 years after Sid Sheinberg bought the novel for me. My first child was born, and I think I grew up overnight. And the film began to have more importance to me because it was something I wanted to leave behind for my kids. So when they said, "Dad, what did you do that I could be proud of?" instead of saying, well, all these big Gothic audience entertainments, I could say, here's a piece of history you should know about. This is something that happened to our people and to all people. And that's probably why it took me that long to make the movie. I think Schindler's List is the best film I've ever made. You know, and I'm happy about that. I'm really happy I'm able to say, admit that I've made a picture that's better than anything else I think I've ever made. It was a great honor that the film stimulated conversation everywhere in the world about the Holocaust, and also allowed me to create the Survivors of the Shoah Foundation, where we've already achieved, I think, 50,000 survivors on videotape testimony that will be, you know, disseminated someday in schools and Holocaust museums, colleges, and high schools around the world.
I could have got more out.
Well, I just get a lot of ideas about movies I want to make. I love, like I said, I love telling stories, and you know, when I get tired telling stories, you know, publicly telling stories, then I'll retire from that and I'll tell stories to my kids. I'll continue telling them privately. But I don't think that'll ever happen. I just like, you know, I love doing this job. It's a great job to have, you know, when I can, you know, be a part of somebody else's dream and putting that dream on the screen, or if I can get an idea from my, you know, naked brain in the middle of the night and write it down on the back of a, you know, piece of paper, and 18 months later, whatever's on the back of that piece of paper is a big movie or a small movie. I mean, that is the stuff that makes all of us want to, you know, work in this business and create and have fun. You know, what makes me want to direct as opposed to makes me want to produce is just how hard the tug is in here. You know, how, you know, I mean, it has to tug me to want to put my name on anything or get involved in anything. The films I make here at DreamWorks, I've got to say, wow, what a good story. I want to share that. People should see this movie. But if it really pulls me, and you know, I know that difference. It's a bigger tickle, you know, that gets me to say, I'm not giving this away. I'm keeping this for myself. That's a much bigger tickle.